Dun, 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 dun. Summer Walker. And so I wanted to have a conversation about this because number one, Summer Walker, she has two kids. Summer Walker, she has no relationship at this point. She just announced it on social media that she and her recent child's father and boyfriend broke up. She also has no husband. But it's her life, her relationships, her choices. So I want to know, why are y'all so mad? Hi guys, and welcome to the Shannon Montana YouTube channel. I am so happy to be back here because I know it has been a little bit of time since I have last recorded an episode on a new topic. So I just want to say I finally found the groove of YouTube. I understand what it takes for me to know that I cannot do hair, makeup, record, and edit all in the same day. I need to break that up just as I did when it came to things I would have to do for the podcast. So I had to figure out what this monster was like a little bit. I took off full speed ahead and now I'm back to it. So that said, we are back here for another great episode. And next week, we have a new series that will be launching on November the 15th titled Healing is a Journey. And you guys will hear so much more about that, but I just wanted to tell you guys now, and this apparel that I'm wearing, it will be available next week as well. So that said, today's topic is going to be on dun, 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 Summer Walker. And so I wanted to have a conversation about this because number one, Summer Walker, she has two kids. Summer Walker, she has no relationship at this point. She just announced it on social media that she and her recent child's father and boyfriend broke up. She also has no husband. But it's her life, her relationships, her choices. So I want to know, why are y'all so mad? Why y'all so mad? That's what I don't understand. At the end of the day, I know the way I said it, I set that up on purpose. You probably thought we was about to go down this avenue about Summer Walker and how her decision-making skills are terrible because, of course, she's supposed to be fighting for her life to get a husband when that is just not everybody's dream. So I want to let y'all know, first of all, you are nuts if you really think that the only way to happiness is through a man. If she chooses to have children with the people that she is in relationship with, or that she may have one night stand with, or whoever she chooses to have kids with, that is her choice. But because she is making conscious and adult decisions that are hers to make that involve her having children out of wedlock, it seems like the world of social media at least wants to judge her. And that's what I don't understand. This goes back to if you're watching the show Reasonable Doubt on Hulu.
So, I just want to take a moment to pause right here to say if you are not watching Reasonable Doubt on Hulu, I think that the man on the screen is enough reason for you to tune in if he's your flavor. He is the normal crazy that he shows up as usually in movies, but this time, I promise you, it is so worth it. Let's carry on as we were.
If you're watching the show Reasonable Doubt on Hulu. If you're not watching it, it's a great show produced by Kerry Washington. Great writing, like Scandal. If you like Scandal, you'll like this. And so on the show, Jax is the main character, and she's this high-powered attorney, and she's in this tussle with her soon-to-be ex-husband because she wants the career, he wants her to do something else. That's the gist of it. But there is so much commentary on Twitter about how Jax wants to be this woman that is okay with her career thriving and flourishing and not wanting to be Susie homemaker at home. And there are so many people making comments saying like, Jax, you got a man that likes you. He takes care of the kids. You should be grateful. Like, it's really sad that the standard of what we want and what we allow has come down to having a man that likes you and take care of the kids. If he likes you and someone to take care of the kids, that means you need to stay your spanking ass at home. And that don't make sense to me. So I just really think that people need to understand at the end of the day, being happy and having a relationship is great for those that have relationships. But also being happy without a relationship is great as well. And if Summer Walker or any woman, insert any woman in the place of Summer Walker, if they are choosing to have children without a relationship or with a relationship or without a marriage, that is okay. And we really have to change the way that we think, that we immediately want to just judge these women just because they don't operate in that space. And I think the other thing for us to recognize is that marriage to me is not like this huge trophy and prize that you get. I think marriage is a beautiful thing. But marriage, if we remember, it is a relationship. It's a relationship that anybody can have if they so choose. But we choose to view it as this ultimate prize, this ultimate thing, this ultimate something that we want to, run after. And we get these relationships, we get these marriages, and we realize that they ain't even a whole lot to shout out about when you get it. So it's like, why do we chase that dream and thinking that once we get the husband and we get the ring, that life is going to be great from there? And again, not knocking marriage. I have a desire to be married myself. And I'm all for people being in happy and healthy marriages. I have a whole platform about happy and healthy relationships. But I do not think that you should hang your hat on or make all of your decisions be based around how you are operating in romantic spaces. And I think we see that too much online, where a woman does something that society says she should not be doing, especially having children. Society is so worried about women's pussy. It just don't make sense to me. But we get so hung up on what a woman is doing and don't let her be doing it with some kids and don't have a man by her side. This is not 1942. This is not the time anymore where we have to have a man by our side. Like, literally had to back then have a man by our side to literally do like almost anything. We are in a different day and age. The world has changed. Why do people not think that relationships will change or they will evolve or people will show up in them differently? Like, that's what I really don't get. But I think the other part people have to understand is that it's a lot of people walking around like the Walking Dead, walking around like zombies that are not free. They just don't have a free way of thinking. They are not free in their relationships. And I think that, and they are not free within themselves, because if you truly understand what freedom looks like, it is recognizing your value while you're in a relationship. It is recognizing that understanding life can be valuable without a relationship. But overall, what it is really being fulfilled in all areas of your life, whether you are booed up or not. And if you are fulfilled in all areas of your life, whether you are booed up or not, if you decide to have a child, it does not mean that you are not going to be fulfilled. It does not mean it's the worst decision in the world. It does not mean that life is over as you know it, just because you've had a child without a partner that is permanently by your side, so to speak, due to having a husband or a serious relationship. But I say a husband because even when people are in relationships and they have kids, society tends to then still be like, when y'all get married, why y'all ain't get married? It's just all this judgment around it. And I think so much of that judgment is attached to the notion that people just don't understand what true freedom and happiness looks like, and that true freedom and happiness is not being attached to anything. So I'm not attached to this idea that in order for me to be a good mom or a good parent, that I have to do it in a marriage. Like, a marriage is the only way to do it. It's crazy, because you all know that not everybody wants to be married, right? Y'all do know that. Not everybody want a husband. Not everybody want a wife. Some people, everybody doesn't hold that sacred union to the same, mountaintop. They don't hold it at the same value. It doesn't have the same value that you think it does. Like, everybody doesn't think that way. So we just have to understand that if you choose to be in relationship with somebody, great for you. But if you choose not to, that's fine as well. But it's just like, again, when you're in a serious relationship, I feel like people are still judgmental. If you have a kid in a serious relationship, like, why y'all not married? Baby, I may be cool with what I got going on, because we all know that there are people, there are married people that want to be single, and there's single people that want to be married. But we all know that there are people that are in marriages with children that have said verbally out of their own mouths that they feel like they are a single parent because they're doing it by themselves. So why do we still walk around and pretend like having a kid and being married is the stairway to heaven? It's the key that unlocks everything in the universe that you could have ever desired, when we want no good and fucking well, that is not it. So it's like, we have to really get away from and release the shame that society placed on us many years ago for having kids outside of wedlock. It's a lot of things you could be shamed about. You could be shamed about walking around like, if your pussy stank, you should be shamed about that. But being shamed about the fact of you had a kid outside of wedlock ain't something we need to be ashamed about, because we know, again, you could be in a relationship with an ain't shit nigga or an ain't shit woman, and that could, the relationship, the relationship could still go wrong even though you have a kid involved. So let's release the shame that comes with, that was implanted in us. It goes way back to our ancestors as to why we have this shame, because that's what was done. You know, people, that's back when, you know, people, kids was raised as a sister when it was really their mama, all that kind of stuff. We don't live in that world anymore. So we got to release the shame. Then we also have to understand that, again, being in a marriage, being in a union does not guarantee a fucking thing. You don't guarantee a fuck thing, baby. Because you know, at the end of the day, God forbid, something could happen. Somebody could die and you could wind up being a single parent. Somebody could decide they just want to leave and you could be a single parent. Somebody can just decide, I don't want to do this no more, and you could be a single parent. Somebody can just decide that this ain't what I signed up for today on this Wednesday on December 3rd, and I'm out this bitch, and you can wind up being a single parent. So it's a lot of avenues that can lead you to being a single parent outside of just having a kid outside of wedlock. So release that shame that comes attached to it. But also, I think that sometimes parents and people need to release the dreams that they have for themselves, that they want to see vicariously show up through their kids and other people. Because sometimes people show up in spaces where they have a child and they want that, because they never got married, they want that child to be married. That's one of the reasons. I ain't saying it's the only reason, but they never got married, so they want that child to get married. They never had a child in wedlock, so they want the child to get married and have a kid in wedlock. There's a lot of things that they never had, so they vicariously live through their children. And I think it's okay to have hopes and dreams and aspirations, and believe that being in a marriage is going to set yourself up for better success with having kids. And I think that in those situations, if you look at it solely from like an income perspective, if you have two incomes are better than one. So, if that's the perspective you want to go with, okay, cool. But at the end of the day, at the day's end, if a person, one, you have these aspirations and you want to project them onto somebody else, that's not okay. But also release the shame that has come and has been implanted on us from years ago, that's not okay. But also knowing that what it really comes down to when a person is having a child, it's about, what is best for that child. And what is best for that child is just making sure that no matter what environment that they are in, that they have the support that is needed. That parent has the support and that child has the support. And you know how you get support? Because we talk about, you got real single mothers who really out here doing it by themselves. Shout out to y'all. But then you have people that are in situations, married, and they may have the financial support, but the partner isn't physically there. Or mentally, or a lot of other ways there. But you know what? The support is needed. And you know how you get the support? You get the support through, building a village. A village is what we need. And a village is what I think can help us change and erase some of these old, outdated notions that we've operated on for so many years, because they are not okay. And what I mean by that is, building that, you build a village through friendships. You have friends that are there to help you in your time of need with kids, whether you're married or not. You build that support by making sure that you are fulfilled outside of the romance of a relationship, because we know that when it comes to being fulfilled in our life, we are so stimulated by so many things on the outside world that tell us you're supposed to be doing this, you should be this far in life, you should be doing these things, and they stimulate us to think that we should be going like, this is my purpose because this is what I was looking at on Instagram today, or this is what I should be working on because I saw that on Facebook today. No, we have to make sure that at the end of the day, we are fulfilled ourselves. And that comes down to, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, the things that compose our being. We need to make sure that we are fully fulfilled in that, because if we aren't fulfilled, that's going to show up in the spaces when we're raising these kids, and we can't really raise them how we want to and support them how we want to if we aren't fulfilled, because our focus isn't where it needs to be. And the next thing is going to be, building all of that within yourself, whether you have a partner or not, whether you have a marriage or not, whether you have a relationship or not. And that just goes back to just so many things that sparked me wanting to have this conversation today that I saw about Summer. Just so many people saying like, she knew when she got with London that he wasn't gonna act right. She even talked about it on the album, and then she went and did the same shit again with the next dude. It's like, okay, I'm sure in any situation, for every person that's online judging her and got something to say, how many times your stupid ass done signed up for a relationship, i.e. me, done signed up for some shit that you thought was going to go one way and it went another. Let's be clear. So I'm sure even with any of these relationships, that girl ain't wake up one day and, wake up and think that, oh, I'm about to get in a relationship and I know it ain't going to last. I'm going to have a baby with this nigga. Or even she did. She could have woke up one day and said, I want to have a baby with these men with nothing attached. And they said, okay, because she does have the means to take care of her child, at least financially. I assume she has the support, things of that nature. because of the line of work that she's in. But I think that nobody always plans for things to be a certain way. So that's another side to look at. Even if she's made a decision that you don't like, one, I'm sure she gives zero fucks about that. But the other side is that even if she's made a decision, she said, she put out in I think it was the statement she made yesterday, and I'll find it and I'll post it up here, and we'll pause for a second so you guys can read it. But she really just mentioned, like, she knew at the end of the day that, she thought that her and her second child's father had something. It didn't work out. She's made a different decision that she's going to go on with her life. They're going to co-parent, and she's going to do what she needs to do to support her child. So I don't think at the end of the day, all of that judgment that we place on her, it's just wild to me. So I think it just goes back to what we said. You're nuts, number one, if you think that happiness is the only, that you're nuts if you think that having a man in a relationship or a marriage is like the only route to happiness, or that's the number one thing in this life to be happy about. And you know what? Let me take that back, because if that is the number one thing in your life, a relationship, because some people do thrive and love relationships and love, if that's what floats your boat and is number one for you, good for you. But I think that in this space, in this demographic of women that I talk to, we have a lot going on, and we desire relationships. We desire romantic relationships. And we just have to know we cannot be driven by what the man is going to do, or the man giving us that ring or that marriage that we desire. We cannot be driven by that in our decision making. We have to make sure that we are free, number one, to think how we want to show up in spaces how we want to be who and what we want to be, whether it's having a child or not. And then that we are fully fulfilled in whatever we are doing in every facet, to make sure that we can show up in every space, raising a child or not, to know that we're okay with that. And then also that we have the support, whether we're in a relationship or not, because the support has to be there. And that comes through the cultivation of friendships and figuring out what you want your world to look like. But overall, understanding that it's all choices. It's all choices that we make. It's all choices that we are free. We're just free to be who we want to be. So no, release the shame. And the thing is this: if you are out here shaming Summer for what decision she's made, I want you to put your hand over your heart, realize that you are a human being as well. And then I want you to tap into what it is innately within you that made you judge her, or made you think that, she's making terrible decisions because she's yet 2 kids and not married. I'm sure I get some women right now that could testify that got 2 kids and are married and probably be like, I trade places with that bitch now. So figure out what it is that made you judge her, or any woman that you look at out of wedlock that has kids, and think that, they're a terrible person or they make terrible decisions. Because a lot of times, nobody wakes up and wants to make mistakes, or nobody wakes up and certain things, they choose for certain things to happen to them. I think most times when women go into a relationship with men and they get pregnant, I don't even say decide to have a child, but say they find out they're pregnant, I think most logical women, hope that that relationship is going to work out. It just always don't. And when it don't, we move along, we move around, we figure it out. So, leave the Summer Walkers of the world alone. Let them have their free choice, their free speech, because it could be you in that seat one day, and you're going to need the support. You're going to need the friends. You're going to need the lack of shame and judgment off of you, and no matter what that situation is. But know that, marriage is a beautiful thing. If it's for you, great. If it's not, great as well. But at the end of the day, over here, for me and my house that serves the Lord, we ain't judging nobody. Make your own decisions. Do what works for you. But at the end of the day, all that Shannon Montana wants for herself and wants for y'all is for everybody to be free. To be free to do what you want, how you want it, and show up in spaces as you truly desire. So, on that note, signing off, yours truly, Shannon Montana.